Hello friends, in this series of YouTube videos, let us see the explanation of chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita, which is called Puruṣottama Yoga, by looking at one shloka at a time in one video. In the 15th chapter of the holy Bhagavad Gita, which is known as the Puruṣottama Yoga, Bhagavān Śri Kriśna uses the metaphor of a tree for describing the universe. He also explains the two types of beings, perishable ones and liberated ones, and then explains the supreme divine personality in order to then achieve liberation. This explanation is based on an extremely popular scripture in the Marathi language called Jñyāneśwari, which was written to explain the holy Bhagavadgita by a very famous saint from the Maharashtra state in India, whose name is Sant Jñyāneśwara, who lived a very short life of only 21 years during the period 1275 to 1296. One can imagine how talented and gifted he was to write this as well as many other scriptures which are called Graṅthas in such a young age. Also, the basis of this explanation is on the translation of this Jñyāneśwari in the Marathi language of recent times by Dr. Gopal Govind Benare. Let us see the shloka number 1. Sri Bhagavān Vacha ūrdhva-mūlam adhaḥ-śhākham ashvattham prahuravyayam chandansi yasya parnani yastam vedasa vedavit. Bhagwan or Lord Śri Kriśna says, the entire universe is like an ashwatha tree with its roots above and the branches below. It is spoken as an eternal tree. Its leaves are the Vedic hymns, and the one who really understands this tree is the one who is the knower of the Vedas. Bhagwan Sri Krishna uses the metaphor of an upside down ashwatha tree with its roots above. The divine supreme personality known as the Brahman or Parabrahma is at the highest point of this tree. That supreme personality is the one who is supporting and also nurturing this entire universe. In the Jñyāneśwari, Sant Jñyāneśwara says that Maya, which is constantly changing and thus is spiritually unreal, and which conceals the true character of the spiritual reality, is the seed of this tree of the entire universe. She is not real because she is pressed by the knowledge of the Brahman, and that she is also not unreal because she appears through this entire universe and hence is visible to us. Maya is really the ignorance of the soul which prevents it from realizing its identity with the Brahman and causes the self to appear as a distinct personality. Sant Jñyāneśwara further mentions that this Maya is illuminated by the radiance of the Brahman, the supreme divine personality. Just like when we sleep, it makes us as though we are knowledgeless. Just like the soot on the wick of the burning lamp makes its light dimmer, in the same way, this Maya covers the truth about the Brahman, and she is the first root of this tree representing the universe. The living beings existing all through the billions of the years since the origin of the universe represent the branches of this tree. They grow in vast nature and also become extinct or get destroyed. The spiritual knowledge and philosophy about the life, lifestyle, routines, rituals which is described in the Vedas represent the leaves of this tree. Normally, the translation of the Ashwatha tree is done by many as a people, or as in Marathi it is called pimpal, or the sacred fig tree, or some even call it a banyan tree. But here in this shloka, its meaning as perceived by Bhagwan Sri Krishna is different. Sant Jñyāneśwari mentions it like this: आणि अश्वत्थू येणे नावे पिंपळू म्हणती स्वभावे परितो अभिप्रावो नभे Sri Haricha. He further explains that Shvah means tomorrow, and until that time also the existence of this tree does not remain the same. Just like in a moment the colors and shapes of the clouds change, just like the lightning does not remain steady even for a moment, or just like a person who is filled with grief cannot remain calm even for a second. In the same way, this tree of the universe keeps on getting destroyed and continues to grow every moment. Due to this ephemeral nature of this tree, it is called as Ashwatha tree by Bhagwan Sri Krishna. People call this tree of universe as something which is imperishable. But Sant Jñyāneśwara explains it like this: जैसा मेघाचीनी तोंडे सिंधू एके आंगे काढे आणि नदी येरीकडे भरितीची असती तेथ वोहटे ना चढे ऐसा परी परिपूर्णूची आवडे परिते फुली जव नुघडे मेघा नदींची ऐसे या रुखाचे होणे जाणे न तरके होते नि वहिलेपणे म्हणूनी लोकू याते म्हणे अव्ययू हा. The meaning of these three stanzas is that at one end the clouds are sucking the water from the ocean, and at the other end rivers are pouring the water into it. But the ocean never seems to get smaller or become bigger due to this. It always appears to be full. Until we understand the principle of how the water cycle works, with the sun causing the water from ocean to turn into vapors, which then rises to form the clouds, and those clouds cause rain, which in turn fills up the rivers, and they flow and carry the water back to the ocean. The reality is not clear. For ignorant people, the ocean appears to be imperishable. In the same way, the growth and the destruction of this tree is happening continuously and so fast that the ignorant people do not understand it and hence call it as imperishable. Just like we do not really know when one moment ends and other starts, or when one day ends and other starts, or when 1 year passes that it welcomes the new year at the same time. In the same way, how many branches of this tree became extinct or got destroyed, and how many of the branches grew is not understood by the ignorant people, and hence they think that it is imperishable. When the spinning top rotates at a very high speed, it appears as if it is rooted in the ground, because something which rotates at a very high speed causes the illusion of that object being stationary. It is this type of illusion which causes the ignorant ones to call the tree imperishable. Bhagwan Sri Krishna further mentions in the shloka that the one who really understands how all this works, that the basis of this entire universe is the ignorance of the soul of it being separate from the Brahman, that the entire existence of this tree is imaginary and that it is of ephemeral nature. is the one who can understand the crux of the Vedas, and I call him the knower who is knowledgeable and sensible. Let us see the shloka again. ūrdhva-mūlam adhaḥ-śhākham ashvatham prahuravyayam chandansi yasya parnani yastam vedasa vedavit. So friends, I will be back with the explanation for the second shloka of this 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita in next few days. Till then, Jai Sri Krishna.